Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com.
Whoop.
Carrie and I are both in uniform.
Finally.
Yeah,
Holidays are over. We have no more excuse.
that's right. That's right. And so today we're going to be talking about, best practices with regarding to setting up fleet cards or, credit cards that have multiple card holders. And we're
Yes.
going to we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do,
There's
we
always
had
a side note that we have to address. Thank you.
we are in January, and January is there's a lot of
1099
deadlines.
W-2 system.
1099,
Lisa.
yep, 1099 season and W-2 season, and January 31st is a date that is lives in infamy for accountants and bookkeepers, and one of those things is getting 1099s filed by the 31st. Right. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail on a future school workshop Wednesday. Where we'll talk about, um, how to do some of these things, hopefully before the deadline. But we wanted to interrupt today's workshop because there is
Yes.
something to talk about. Right. So when you're in QuickBooks Online, you can have Intuit e-file your 1099s for you. So there is a 1099 e-file service, but this year they're also introducing a contractor payments level of QuickBooks Online payroll. Right, so the 1099s in and of themselves are not a payroll form. It's actually a tax form, right? But so there's this dilemma or confusion as to whether it's part of the payroll service or not, because it's not even a payroll form. But 1099s uh, are one of those things that kind of sits on both sides of tax versus the payroll service. So let me just share my screen. Maybe we'll just kind of
Yeah. So
unpack this.
employees are in your, we'll get a W-2. Employees will be all in your payroll tax filings, but 1099s are your subcontractor labor people that you paid more than $600 to. So you have to dig all that out.
All right. So when you go to, Intuit's website and see a simple way to file 1099s online, right? They go down here and then they have this contractor payments, which is if you don't have QuickBooks Online payroll, you can do
I know.
contractor payments, sign up
Okay.
for contractor payments, but it's actually it's in the QuickBooks Online payroll services suite of services,
If
right?
you already
Because
have
of,
payroll, is this included?
not
Or
sure.
okay.
You can pay your contractors if you have uh the payroll service, and I
Uh-huh.
believe you know uh it's like $4 a month per contractor or something like that, right? But if you only have oh, there it is over here, payroll cores over here. If you have the payroll service, you pay the payroll services, and then for the employee and or contractor,
Yes, it's still
it's
expensive.
the it's the monthly service or monthly
Each
employee.
person
Yeah, yeah,
listed will have a fee per month. Okay.
yeah, exactly. So,
Per
so if you have payroll service, it's $5. And then if you have
employee, per per
premium
employee.
and elite, then it's 8 or 10, right? But if you don't have the payroll service, you can use the contractor payments, which is $15 a month uh, after the introductory period, and then that
Yeah, it was like
includes
that.
20 contractors with a $2 surcharge after 20. Right.
Okay.
So hopefully that clarifies that.
But, okay,
Right.
here's my question. If you hadn't signed up for that, then there's
Mhm.
no way that they're tracking what you've done. So
Exactly. So
you
yeah,
have to go
then you
back in time and
yeah.
do
So
something like we
last
do.
year's yeah. So
Yeah.
last year's 1099 is not necessarily the best thing to try to do that for a prior year, right? So, but the nice part is that they e-file unlimited 1099s when you're using this service. Also, with your payroll, it does e-file your 1099s for you, so you
Okay.
don't have that to concern yourself with. Now, if you're not using any of these services and you want to e-file or prepare your 1099s for the prior tax year, you certainly
Yes.
can. And then by going into the vendor center and then clicking prepare 1099s, you get this, right?
You. Okay.
And then there's, this is
You
where the
definitely
confusion,
do not want to order a kit and print and mail.
right,
Not these days, not when you can do it e-file.
right. So, the 1099 e-file service is an a la carte service that you would pay typically every year, and then map your 1099 payments to the vendor and set them up, and it will print and mail and print, potentially print on plain paper as well. So when you click on this important offer details and disclaimers, right? So let me see if I can make this bigger. Here we go.
Oh, we're
This guy
knocking out
here,
of time, Dan. We got till January 27th.
right? So if you do this before the 16th, this pricing here, don't take this for gospel because that's what we're here to talk about. There's a lot of confusion about the pricing of this service. This says it's $12.99, includes the first three forms. Forms 4 through 20 are $2.99, and then forms 21 and up are free. That's not true, because then when you go down here, how much does this cost? Before January 16th, just exactly the same thing that it said earlier. The early bird discount gives you the first for first three forms for $3.99. Forms 4 through 20 are $3.19, and then
Gotta get
forms
out your
21 and
calculator.
up are $1.19 each. Right. So
Aha!
I told
Devil's in the
somebody,
details.
right. I told somebody this, right. So like, oh, it's right here. Right. So this is, if you
Uh,
do it before the 16th, uh, it's $12.99 plus $2.99 each. They were filing 143 each 1099s. So this is a great deal, right? Like it may
if it's
be
real.
$60, it's $60 for the service. However, it's quite different if you do it this way, right?
Yeah,
And
I'm sure that
so even
pricing came
better.
for them down there.
But wait, Carrie, there's more. This
What?
is what they were actually being charged.
Oh, that looks that doesn't look like 60 bucks.
It's not $60, and it's not even this pricing that even says down here, right? This is saying $3.99 for the first three forms, $3.19 for the 4 through 13. So far so good.
4
And
through 20.
then 123 forms at $1.59. So as it was saying here that it's $1.19,
Oh, boy.
$1.59, that's 40 cents more for 123 forms. That's quite a significant difference. Um, so the moral of the story is this
It
pricing is wackadoo. It's supposed to be 20%. I think that's ultimately what the early bird discount is 20% off of the
We're
regular discount.
definitely underneath the pricing, so great.
Yeah. So uh, the person that was having this trouble, we did reach out to Intuit. They did realize, oh, this is a mess, and they did honor the early bird discount. So that was a good thing that they
But
actually
they
did.
haven't fixed this page
Um,
yet.
but they haven't fixed this page yet. So it is very confusing. So bear in mind that you may see a different price than any of these listed here. And if you're
And if you
using
wanna
QuickBooks
fight if you wanna
Online
fight it,
Payroll,
oh,
yeah. But if you're using QuickBooks Online Payroll, you have these other options as well, and then Intuit then files the 1099s. But I don't believe you can go in, today and hope to
Wouldn't
do
make
that
sense.
for
Yeah, this
last year.
to me, this would be signing up for 2023 and your 2022, I think you're sort of stuck in a rock and a hard place. Either that or use another third party, track
Right.
1099 or something like that.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing here because
Well,
that
that's
was painful.
just really interesting.
Right.
Anyone else well, there was something else I wanted to ask you about that I've seen on the interwebs, on the chat, the boards and stuff. There was something that I saw one of the Intuit people pop in. Apparently there's something about payroll that might get charged or they turn something off so it won't get charged back to a bookkeeper that
Oh,
has QBOA account?
yeah. So if you are wholesale billing, right? The where it's firm billed, they've turned off the ability for customers to sign up for that service because it is
Such
basically you're going to
bill.
get the charge for it, right?
And as you
So
see, here's the problem, the pricing doesn't even line up. So how do you know
not
what to
consistent,
charge?
exactly. So, and then on top of that, they've also uh, for payroll services to add payroll services, only the accountant can add the payroll service if the accountant is being billed for it, right? So you don't.
Right,
That's actually a good thing, right? So
that's good.
you don't want your customer turning on payroll unbeknownst to you, and then you get
Of
the
course.
bill and wonder, oh, maybe I should
Why am I
add
not
that to
making any margin on this at all or not even breaking even?
exactly. So uh, that's not Landon saying clients can always remove the accountant to add payroll. Uh,
But then they'll go to full price.
if they're the, yeah, then they go to full price. Uh, yeah, that's another workshop altogether. Talking about how the client build, firm build relationships and what you can and can't do, which is sounds like it might be a good topic, Carrie. Um,
Yes. Very complicated and yeah, so
but just be aware that is an option or that is potential option or a call to yourself from your client when they try to add payroll or try to add 1099s, and
always
you're footing the bill for the subscription because that subscription will flow underneath you. Um, and I
and I
think
think
one of our
that's
partners has 85 wholesale clients, and it is not in her scope of work to do any of this sort of
a do
stuff. So,
well, and that's actually a good call out because, you wanna be very, in touch with the people that if you're on wholesale billing, you wanna understand what are they gonna do for payroll. Keep a spreadsheet or some kind of tracking on it and guide them into something that you don't have to touch if payroll's not in your scope. So we have other options, but make sure they're running payroll some way and somehow, um, and are happy with it so that they don't run across this time of year is when people want to switch or that, Q4. Um, so yeah, be
exactly.
very aware of it. If you want it integrated or you want to use ADP or something else, you want to have that conversation before today because then they're
Yeah,
gonna say, how come I can't run my payroll? Well, because this needed planning and something you should have
yeah,
talked about in October.
exactly. So our original topic of best practices when setting up credit cards. So let's pivot to that. Um,
Boom.
all right. So the situation here is that most companies when they're dealing with a credit card situation is they'll have a main account with bank
Parent,
X,
parent.
whatever that happens to be, and then they're going to have individual cards for their employees where they have it underneath, right? And
Right.
Carrie, what the situation is typically
I've
the
got a client
reality of this.
yeah. So I've got a client that we both were, working with that was asking about this. We haven't done the project yet, but just, it's a firm that does landscaping. So they do that monthly maintenance. and they also do projects. And he was trying to keep those 2 divisions in, track by class in his QBO. And what he wanted to do was to track those individual cards by employee. So one of his employees was head over maintenance, and the other was head over project work. So then what he wanted to do was to be able to create bank rules underneath those children. So each employee is the child parent child relationship, and if it was all lumped into one card, you lose that visibility. So he wanted to specifically separate that out so that he could create rules under employee A that it goes to this class and get that up, and then the other one would go to the other. But the problem is what? The payments, when you make a payment on a
Mm.
corporate card, fleet card, or whatever you call it, where there's a lot of children, you don't want to have to do $50 was on employee A, 75 was on employee B, and so forth. So, the suggested method is to add an extra card to run all those payments in and out of that aren't attached to an employee. And
Right.
then
Because
that's a big
and then
Mhm.
yeah. So what the best practice, right, and the QuickBooks best practice. Excuse me, I got a frog. Okay. I meant to hit mute. Sorry.
Oh, whoops.
The the best practice is you set up your bank account, whatever that happens to be, your Chase or Bank of America, whatever the financial institution is, as the
Yeah.
parent account on the chart of account, and then any individual cardholder is a sub account of that parent. Um, and so that way transactions by each cardholder will flow in. You would connect the sub account to
Feel
each, to the bank feed. And then those transactions come in. Now, what ends up happening in that situation is you end up having all the transactions come in. But then when you go at the end of the month to reconcile the parent, which has all of the cardholder children underneath it, makes it easy to reconcile with the statement. However, what about that darn payment, right? Because you're going to pay that lump sum, right? Or
right.
you know,
Or a portion,
if you
whatever
if you
you're
do carry a balance, right, you're just going to pay a portion of that. So what ends up happening? What ends up happening? I landed. What ends up happening is that all of your payments post to the parent, and none post to the children. So then you end up having this exponentially growing balance of your card holders, and then that causes confusion because, well, somebody looks at their chart of accounts and they see a big negative balance for the parent, or zero, in any case, or they see this huge positive balance for all of their card holders, right? So the addition, so when you went through the certification
Yes.
exam for QuickBooks Online this year, the
Yes.
suggestion to that process is add another child.
Add one more
What's one more
child to
child?
put those administrative items in, the payments in, and so forth that are not directly tied to one of your employees' cards. And then that
But that
makes it
what that
clean
it what
and
it cleaner.
and you do not connect your bank feed to parent. Do not, do not,
Yeah,
do not. You go
yeah.
individually, do, and get it there that way.
Does it come with that sound effect?
No, it does not. I have to duplicate that.
We'll
To do,
we'll have to. That's only if you have 3 card holders. Now, if you, there's a call to action there. Yeah, so make sure, of course, that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you're not already, you'll get notifications of upcoming workshops. And you can participate in the chat. Um, if you want to share, by all means, we appreciate
Yes, we
the
appreciate the support for our growth.
sharing and the love. Then, what was I going to? We're when you have another child, that is where you put all your payments on. here's what I see happening here. You're
Yep,
going to
you're
have that
spending
a big negative balance for all
yeah,
your payments, and then you're still going to have the large, the positive balance moving forward. I mean, if you want, you can make a journal entry and split that, lower that down on a, when you do make the payment,
ugh,
so that the balance gets lower. But ultimately, what happens is all of your children, all of the sub accounts, plus that additional, negative balance of the payment account, will flow into, and you'll see the true balance of your credit card on
collapse.
on the line.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
so it'll
collapse
be collapse.
your balance sheet. Yeah, there's always a nuance with these fleet cars, and they're like, "Oh, we figured it out," but like you say, you just saw into the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So now, to next week when well, we're going to have File come on and join us for a few weeks, where we're going to be talking a little bit about expense management and managing
these kind of cards.
your expenses. They have actually come up with a way that you don't have to do that.
It's
Uh,
not done inside, it's done
it's not done inside of QuickBooks because it's not reliant on the bank feeds
but the children
and
are
those
managed
types of things.
in a different way, in a better way,
Right.
so
So we'll talk about that next week with when File comes in, and then we'll talk in general. Some of the business workflow challenges that come up with managing your expenses. Uh,
and this
and
one
yeah,
is this particular, visitor that we're bringing, they're QBO only, correct?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, they are looking at integrating with desktop, but of course that's always a well. Do we have enough to justify that?
Yeah, it's very confusing, but here we are.
All right. So, we'll hopefully see you all next week on the quick work. Or sorry, the School of Bookkeeping Workshop Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is.
He doesn't
It's
know where he is. School of bookkeeping.
there. It is. Uh, it's on my shirt.
Oh, here we go, there we go. Thank you, Landon. Gotta
Yeah.
keep us straight here. We forgot what day it is.
So we'll see you next week on another Workshop Wednesday, and we hope you all have a great day.
Have a great week. See you next week.